And so, and you know, one of the things that Ambassador Rivera always mentions is that in her meetings with the senators, the first thing that they say is A. So sometimes they don't even know what CEDAW is. That's one. So there's we have to educate them, you know, on what CEDAW is, and they're saying, you know, first of all, the acronym is interesting. So they don't know what it is. But secondly, if they do, it's just, you know, they have to be convinced, you know, why this needs to be ratified. So it really is sort of a multi-layered and a multi-sort of faceted issue about how we can continue to exert leadership as well as, you know, support it. So, and I think that starts on the Hill, because you have at the base, you basically, you know, at the base you have support from the administration. And as long as we continue to exert this, you know, on the Hill, I think that is, you know, is a challenge, but I think it's something obviously that we're committed to doing. So, so yeah, that's all right. Anybody else? Oh yes. Okay. You know, I'm not part of our legal team, so I would feel more comfortable putting you in touch with one of my colleagues to speak about that. So I'll get your information after this just to make sure that you have. It's a conversation that has been brought up many times, but I would defer to my colleagues on this question. Oh.
Well, I just want to say one word of support on the reservations issue for the audience. If everyone here is not clear, when Deb mentioned reservations, this is the method by which governments can ratify a treaty overall, but say there are certain aspects of the treaty that they don't agree with. It was invented to get treaties ratified where there was a general support, but CEDAW has the most reservations of any of the human rights treaties, and the committee has been working very hard to get governments to remove those reservations, particularly reservations that are actually contrary, and many of us feel, to the very purpose of the anti-discrimination treaty. So as you go out into the world after today, and others may want to add to this, to advocate for ratifying treaty, I think it's very important for us as NGOs and civil society to say our goal is ratification without reservation, period. Now, those who are negotiating will have to negotiate what reservations are contrary to the spirit, but I would like to advocate that at least on our widespread education we say without reservation, because we understand that the reservations have been used by governments to pull back on the meaning of the treaty.
It's okay. I think we could ask for questions.
Let me jump in then and just say that the task force, the CEDAW task force, is addressing both of those sets of issues. First of all, with regard to which senators need to be moved, where efforts need to be focused. Again, if you sign up on our sheet, we will be back in touch with you. We have 4 committees of the task force, and one of them is the advocacy committee, which is, you know, laying out exactly which senators need to hear from their constituents. And so we can provide you with that information. Another committee of the task force is the legal committee, which has done an analysis of the reservations, understandings, and declarations that have been attached in the past, and is putting forward a position as to how we should go forward this time around without those. So again, we can provide you with more information. The committees that are part of the CEDAW task force are addressing all of these issues.
I just had a question about, basically, I don't know if any of the panelists can speak to this. What are some of the popular reasons cited for why this has yet been ratified? Is it the idea that domestic laws and policies are sufficient enough to protect and ensure women's rights in the country, or that, you know, international law is just superfluous? Like, why? What are some of the popular reasons cited? Why would it take 30 years? I don't see the government being opposed to women's rights, but just thinking that it's unnecessary, that it's extra. So what are some of the reservations cited?
Let's again get a couple more on. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, my question goes to Karen. Previous administrations have argued constitutional provisions under both the First and Second Amendment as upholding, CEDAW and other international legal, instruments in meeting U.S. International obligations. Do you foresee that as a major problem when you are looking at the whole ratification again?
And one last, yeah.
My name is Chineye Erebo from Nigeria. I'm a lawyer from Nigeria. My question is for Karen and Aziz. First of all, I belong to the committee. Nigeria has ratified the CEDAW instrument, but the Delta state where I come from, where I work, we're about ratifying, domesticating the instrument. And they've set up a committee, and I'm part of the committee right now to see ways in which we could convince the lawmakers to domesticate it to our local laws. I want to ask if there's UNIFEM, if they have any program on training, because most people don't understand what CEDAW is all about. The lawmakers don't understand. Even most people in the committee don't really understand what the instrument is all about and how it could be used. So I want to find out if there's any particular, there's a particular program for training people in African countries on how modalities to ensure and convince the local people, the cultural people to make sure it's involved, because there are a lot of fears about the CEDAW instrument. Like in northern Nigeria, there are a lot of cultural discrepancy and religious views about, they say it's very inconsistent with their religion there. And also I would like to ask a question on them. I don't know what the fear is about in US, because we don't know why the reason, it's not clear to us in Africa why US that upholds international best practices. I don't know what the fear is, because we want to know so that when they ask us, we'll be able to say, this is the reason we came for CSW, and they told us that this is their fears, and it's not peculiar to us in Africa. They too have fears, so I want to find out. Thank you.
Okay, who wants to start?
You guys want to start on, because I start with the last question then? Is this on? Yes?
It's hard to tell.
Yeah, if you
Oh, okay. So I'll just answer your question. UNIFEM supports partners all around the world. So UNIFEM itself doesn't conduct the training. We support partners all over the world. We do have partners in Nigeria. In fact, the UNIFEM office was working on the domestication of CEDAW, the recent bill, which didn't pass. So I can put you in touch with our office there. We can just speak after. And in fact, I know UNIFEM supported us. UNIFEM supported a study. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, where they looked at exactly why that bill doesn't pass. They looked at they studied sort of the reasons, the religious confrontation, the religious tensions, the cultural tensions, and how they could learn from the reasons why the bill just didn't pass, and apply those lessons to the future advocacy. So certainly there are programs going on in Nigeria now that UNIFEM supports, and like I said, I can put you in touch with our office there, and they can tell you which ones we're supporting currently.
I just want to add that there are also NGOs working specifically on religion and culture and women and gender equality. And I can put you in touch with some of them, because there's a huge network. We all suffer from the same problems. We all have the same criticism about CEDAW thrown at us. And there's a network working specifically on specific issues, Islam and the family, or culture, tribal rights, and gender equality, for example. So, talk to me then.